So, what's going on, guys? So today it won't be a fancy intro or, won't even be any music in the background or anything like that because this is a video that I have been promising for a while, and I guess it's time to talk about it. Yeah. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and talk about why I went to prison. Yeah, so hello guys. Welcome to the channel if you're new to the channel, and if you've never seen any of my videos. My name is Dante. Um I am a full-time reseller entrepreneur. I work for myself. And I like making YouTube videos about my journey. Um and that's just the simplest way to do it. For my normal subscribers, thank you for tuning in, and yes, this is the video where I'll explain why I went to prison. I guess I could say it in literally a few words or less. So for the people who really honestly don't care about my story and just want to know what I went to prison for, again, I think I said this in one of my previous videos. My charge was armed robbery. And I went to prison for 9 years, pretty much on the head. Um, I got sentenced to 10 years in prison, 85%. I live in the state of South Carolina, where you do 85%, you do a percentage of your time. My crime was considered a violent crime. So I had to do that 85% instead of a 65% where I had an opportunity to go home early. Yeah, so if you want to just tune in real quick to see why I came in, why I went to prison. Yeah, my charge was armed robbery, and if you want to tune out now, then that's fine. But I'm gonna go in a little bit more detailed of the charges and just like my life story, because I believe you kind of need a little bit of background to see why I got caught up in that situation. And again, I'm not sitting here claiming that I'm completely innocent or anything like that. Again, my charge was armed robbery. But to me, I honestly believe that 10 years of my life, or that 10-year sentence, was um, obviously for, many reasons. I don't want to say because of my skin color, because, I know people who do time who are not of who are not colored. So it's not about that. But I do know we live in a society where they do make it a little bit harder on people of color. Yeah, just the fact that, again, I got an armed robbery charge and I didn't have a gun. That alone in itself just speaks volumes of how the justice system is. And again, I'm not claiming that I'm innocent and I shouldn't have did any time. I'm not naive. I'm not dumb. But again, 10 years of my life was gone. Uh, and again, I'll get into the story right now. But again, like I said, for the people who just wanted to tune in real quick to know what my charge was, no, I'm not a pedophile. No, I didn't do anything murder or anything crazy like that. My charge is armed robbery. And I actually didn't get out the car to rob anybody, but that is my charge. We had one gun, there was three people, and all of us got charged with armed robbery. Again, in my state, you get charged as the principal. If one person does a crime and you're there, you're going to get charged with that same crime. So if somebody would have got murdered in this situation, I would have been charged with murder, or whatever the crime would have been. So I guess circumstances going into that day and that night. But before I get into all that, again, I'm sorry. I'm probably going to be rambling and go all over the place because I want to kind of give you a little bit of who I am in this video as well. Because I think that's important. The character behind the person is very, very important. And I was speaking to an individual the other day, and he came up to me and he wanted to know what my crime was. And again, I've said what I've done in my previous videos, but I understand that new subscribers come and they don't really understand to go back to my old videos to find where I spoke upon this. But I've never ever gone into detail. Again, I've said what my charge was, but I've never gone into detail of the events of that night. Yeah, so before I do that, I just want to say that yeah, I am 38 years old right now. I am a military brat. I was born in Germany. I was born to, I mean, I have a family, but pretty much a single mother. You know, at the time, my father, the best word just to say is abandoned me. That's there's no way sugarcoating that. He knew where I was. He knew how to get in contact with me. It's not that hard. I didn't meet this man until I was like 16 years old, and then we had like a week together where I stayed at his house in his state, and then I left and pretty much never heard from this guy again. Yeah, but that's a whole nother story. But I mean, I think that's kind of imperative to the story because that fatherhood component that was missing out of my life is very, very important. And I hold that grudge till this day. I would love to say that I would have never gone to prison if I had a proper father figure in my life, but that may not be the case. I can't say that. I don't want to use that as an excuse, and it's not an excuse. I'm just speaking from my perspective of how life hit me. Again, I was a military brat. So if you don't know anything about military brats, that means my mother was in the military. We were constantly on the move. Every 3 years or so, I was always gone. I was never really stationary. I would come home to my family in Travelers Rest when my mother would get deported overseas, or if she was far off or something like that. But wherever my mother was, I was. I spent time in Hawaii for 3 years, Louisiana, North Carolina. That's what I claim. South Carolina, Georgia. Again, I went back to Germany, so I've lived in Washington State. I've been pretty much all over the states. Being a military brat, you travel a lot. And again, my father, he was in the military as well. I will call him my father for the purposes of this video because he's a person who gave me life, but there is no relationship at all. I don't know this man. This man doesn't know me. He doesn't want to know me. And at this point in time in life, it is what it is. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's not okay, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to say it's okay. Yeah, so I'm going to just start off like when I was young. I wasn't the best child. You know, my mother was in the military. She was always gone at work. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was her job. So there was really no, I don't want to say figure in my life. Looking back, when I think about like friends, like I don't have friends because of the fact that I was always on the move. So it's always trying to hard to fit in. I was always that kid trying to fit in. I was never popular anywhere I went. I was always, you know, I was shy. Like me doing YouTube videos is crazy because I'm so shy. Like even nowadays, like I'm very, very shy, especially people who don't know me. You wouldn't think that if you know me, obviously, because once I'm comfortable with you, obviously you get me. But I'm very shy. I'm very timid. And I'm very emotional. I've always been an emotional person. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And you're probably wondering, like, what does all this have to do with you going to prison? It's just like background stories. So when I was a kid, like I said, I really didn't have like many friends. Of course, I had like friends once in the blue moon, but then we would up and move, and then I'd have to start over. And by the time like you really get that connection, you know, we'd up and move. So when it came to like going to school and stuff like that, again, I was that shy kid, and I mean, I was always skinny. You know, I used to talk. I didn't have a deep voice when I was a kid, obviously. I used to get picked on because I had like big ears, or I was like the kid that people always chose to make fun of, or, you know, and I really never had nobody like to talk to, or, you know, like I was always that kid. Nothing I ever did was good enough, it felt like. And again, it's not like I was the best kid, but it's just like when it came to like friendships and authenticness and like things, and I never got what I wanted as a kid. I would ask for something and I wouldn't get it. You know, not saying that I'm supposed to have stuff handed to me, but when you're a kid, you know, you want to ask for things and you don't get those things. So it's like, you know, it's disappointing. And I'm a kid. I don't have a job. I didn't have ways to make money. I didn't, you know. So I guess from there, as a child, you get around people who teach you things. And when I didn't have, I was hanging around other people who didn't have. And I guess that's who you gravitate with. So I can remember at like a very young age, like walking in stores, shoplifting. It would be small things like candy and just things like that. You know, so I guess that's who I was as a kid. I was a stealer. I stole items. Nothing that I'm proud of, but again, I mean, it was the only way that I felt that I can have. Asking asking my mother, well, this is no knock on my mother at all. This is just how they were raised, I assume, and it got put on us. But like asking my mother for things and you would get that no, like asking my mother for anything was very difficult for me in my life. Asking for things to this day, right now, is very difficult to ask anybody for anything. There's been times that I have had nothing or like really had nothing and I wouldn't ask for anything. Because I was always told no, and I always told no. Always, it felt like. Always. I mean, I'm sure there's times I was told yes, but for the most part, like I never felt love. And it's gonna sound bad because I mean, where I'm at now as an adult, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel that love that I was missing from I don't know. I just want to continue. Let me continue. But so there was never that love that I felt. So I guess me going out and stealing and stuff, that's how I acquired what I wanted. It's not like I was stealing every day. It's just like when I got with my friends, I mean, we would go to the the shopette, and we're just like a store on barracks, and there's candy I'd want. I never had money. I didn't have a job. I was young. Again, I was always on my own. There was times I wanted to go with my mom to places and I would get turned down. And again, so it was very hard on me. Being alone. I had a brother and sister, but they were never really around. They have different fathers. So like their dad was around them. But not me. I was always like, I was about to say step brother, but I'm not. Like I'm a half brother. I'm not a whole brother to anybody. Like I'm alone. Like that's how I feel. Like deep down inside, like I'm alone. So when you're alone, you try to gravitate and try to reach out for like anybody or anything. So when I was always on the move, always feeling like I didn't have anything or have any friends or just, felt like I was never good enough for anybody. Like my father, I was about to cuss, but like my father, you know what I'm saying? Like that's always been in the back of my mind. Like a lot of my friends, their dads was around and not mine. It's like, why was I not good enough to have a father, Yeah, that sucked. So the male figures that was around my life, I mean, there was one guy who tried, I can honestly say, but the other men that I saw, like the men figures in my life, weren't very good examples, to be quite frank and quite honest. Yeah, man. But yeah, so as I was growing up, as like I was saying, like I was always shy, I was always timid. I wasn't the strongest kid. I wasn't popular. I was none of that. I always felt alone or always by myself or always playing make believe or always, in my room playing imaginary by myself for the most part. Like I really didn't have like a consistent friend until I moved to North Carolina as a teenager in high school. And even then, like he moved. So again, there's never been a point in time where I had a friend for like over 3 years without me being up and moved or up and gone or something, or like there was never nobody consistently in my life. Again, like my brother and my sister, they have their own thing going on, and I was the only one always with my mom, it felt like. So, and my mom, she's a woman, what I'm saying? She has her own life and work. I mean, pretty much all she did was work. So I would go to school, come home, I'd be home alone, or she'd come home, she'd cook or whatever and go in her room. Like that was our life, Wow, man. And like, I don't know. So I always gravitated to whoever wanted to be friends with me or cool with me. That's who I was going to be friends with. That's the only people who accepted me. Like nobody really ever accepted me. Or that's how I felt. I mean, I don't know if that was really the case, but it's always felt like I'm never accepted. Even nowadays, to be honest, nothing I did was good enough, or nobody wanted to give me attention, and, or maybe, you seek too much attention, or I was lonely, always lonely. So, fast forward to, I've already said like my stealing habits, and I was just bad, I guess, a bad kid. I mean, that's just the best way to put it. I wasn't like a horrible kid. I wasn't doing like horrible stuff, but I would do like dumb stuff a kid would do. Stealing out my mom's purse. I remember stealing from one of her husbands one time. Like she stole something. I mean, I stole like straight out of his wallet. Like $100, went to school and trying to please everybody else, buying snacks and stuff for friends or people who I thought were friends. And and he came and he whipped my butt, so bad, and I deserved it, but the stuff I did to try to please other people, always, and nobody ever in life wanted to please me. So, yeah, fast forward to moving on to when I'm like a teenager, adult. Like I said, as a kid, I never did really, like I said, stealing. Even maybe I wasn't even really a fighter when I was a kid. I would get into argues or talk back and stuff like that. But probably stealing was probably my worst habit. As a kid, teenager, we used to do things when I became a teenager. When I moved to North Carolina officially, and that was like my home base. One of my friends from Hawaii happened to move like literally next door. And again, not to knock on anybody, but he was probably the worst influence in my life, to be honest. That's where a lot of my negativity came from. But that was the only like friend I knew. He literally was the person who moved from Hawaii to next door to me in North Carolina. So that's who I hung with. And like from there, like gangs and stuff started to happen, and just things that teenagers think they need to do. I used to smoke cigarettes. I started smoking cigarettes because I wanted to be cool. Let that sink in. Like, I started smoking cigarettes because I wanted to be cool. Like, that's the personality. Like, I wanted to fit in so bad with the world, and I never did. I was always the last person people relied on, or the last person, like, if my phone rang or somebody knocked on my doors because they needed something, or it's because maybe my mom was gone at work and they wanted to come and bring their girls over and have a good time, or it was never, I'm never had a genuine friend in my entire life. I'm 38 years old, and I can honestly say that, like, at this point in time, I honestly, and people are going to get mad. Maybe one of my friends will watch this and be like, man, I'm your friend. But no, like, I don't have a genuine friend in my life. And I mean that. Like, I have friends. I have people who are acquaintances. I have people I can call and they might help if I needed something. But no, I don't have a consistent friend in my life. I've lived in places that people have never came to visit. Perfect example. I live in this house here. I've lived in this house over a year that nobody has ever came to visit. Like, when they say depression is real, like, it really, really is. I mean, there was a time like when Facebook first started and MySpace and all that stuff. If you looked at everybody's top 8 or top 10, I was never in anybody's top 8 or top 10, or I was never like somebody's best friend, I thought I had a best friend before, but after life moves on and what you can provide for them goes away, like they move on to somebody else who can provide. And, I mean, I guess I'm just, I don't know, I don't want to say, again, I've done a lot of bad things in my life. Back to when I was a teenager, like some of the things where I said like stealing was my thing. We used to like walk around in the neighborhood and like open car doors. And if they were unlocked, we would go in and see what we can find and take. The very first time I ever got in trouble, was during this time. I was walking and we were breaking in cars, and one of my friends who I was with, I happened to find a gun in one of these cars that I was breaking into, and I don't condone any of this, obviously. Obviously, everything I'm telling you is just, I'm speaking from my experience, and I don't want anybody to get caught up in anything that I've ever done. Definitely not condoning any of this stupidness that I did, or ignorance. It was clear ignorance because I didn't have, again, it goes back to like that proper figure, or that proper, mom is not a guy. Mom cannot teach a man things. At the end of the day, I even remember at times I was getting picked on because I was pretty much surrounded by females like all the time, and I was speaking so girly. People used to make fun of me because I used to talk like a girl, walk like a girl. People used to call me a homosexual, gay, you know what I'm saying? Like all this other like I was bullied as a child. Yeah, that's pretty much like the best way to put it. Like even yeah, that's just like the best way to put it. So, me trying to fit in and trying to be cool and wanting to get away, I wanted to be the person to, fit in with the cool people, you know what I'm saying? These gang members, and I won't get picked on no more. I'm finally fitting in, and that was never ever the case. I was always being used or just like the guinea pig. But anyways, fast forward, breaking into these cars, ended up breaking into cars and I found a gun. Long story short, the gun was a cop's. I'm the one who found the gun out the car. Ended up a few weeks later, I still had the gun in my possession. One of my friends, who haven't even had the same name as me, which is ironic, stole the gun from me. He got caught with the gun on school properties and then told on me. So that was my very first experience of dealing with the law showing up at my house, asking me about a gun that I didn't even have in my possession. But at the time, this is North Carolina. North Carolina laws are very, they're way more lenient than South Carolina. So anyways, I did end up getting charged with that. They sent me to like juvie or something like that for like a few days. I remember going like to county jail, my first experience in the county jail, and then ended up getting like probation if I didn't catch another charge for that year because I was a juvenile still and I didn't catch another charge or something like that. But anyways, fast forward, that's just pretty much like who I was as a kid. And then as an adult, I was a hard worker. I always had a job. That was never a problem for me. I may quit that job in 2 or 3 days, but I've always had a job. So that was never really a problem. So fast forward to this armed robbery charge. Yeah, I'm all over the place and I'm sorry. Yeah, but fast forward to this armed robbery charge. I am like 20 something years old, obviously, and I'm an adult. Still going through daddy issues, you can say, or whatever, which I'm still going through those issues today. I'm very depressed. I don't know, like depression is real, but I didn't know at the time. I can go back on my Facebook and like MySpace and just see all the negative posts I used to post, and just like people would say, "Oh man, you're just like, asking for attention," or "Oh man, stop crying," or you need to stop putting your business out on Facebook. But it was always a cry for help. That's what it really was deep down, a cry for help, and nobody really understood what it was. I'm not a bad person. At the end of the day, like I've always tried to be the best person I can for other people, even in my stealing adventures. And again, I'm not trying to say like I used to steal for other people. Like it was like Robin Hood, stealing from the rich just to please my friends. Not saying that I was right, but I was blind. I was dumb. I was so naive. Trying to fit in. I mean, that's what that was. Stealing, and obviously you want stuff for yourself. But yeah, so breaking into cars, fast forward, never really got into too much trouble after that, besides like maybe a few fights, stuff like that. But yeah, nothing really major. And then yeah, man. And then obviously my life, I keep coming around and start getting around certain people and, letting bad influences starting to happen. But I never really let too many bad influences. I don't know. It's weird. It's like, it's crazy. Like I have a lot of friends who like cocaine and crack and a bunch of crazy drugs as I was coming up, but I always steered clear from that. Obviously marijuana was a different story for me, but like I always steered clear from stuff that I didn't want to participate in. But yeah, that's weird saying that, but yet I participated in like a lot of stupidity with my friends. Like I said, mainly after the stealing, when I became a teenager and like a young adult, it was mainly just like fighting. Me and my friends, we would go meet people at Walmart and just go fight in groups. Like that was our thing, fighting. So I guess the main thing I'm trying to say is like, I'm not an armed robber. Like armed robbery was never part of my repertoire. It was always like, I would go steal from Walmart when I was a kid, or like I said, stealing from my mom's purse, or you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. Armed robbery was never ever something that I needed to do. It was never on my mind. We would have conversations like, hey, if we rob a bank, we would do this with the money. It was always money talk and hypothetical talk. It was never really like, yeah, I'm going to go rob a bank. Again, guys, yeah, so many opportunities for me to do dumb stuff in my life that I could have done and I didn't. Just going back to that, like some of the guys, when I was telling you, like my neighbor next door in North Carolina, the one who moved from Hawaii, like they got into some serious stuff. One dude ended up dying and all kinds of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But luckily at some point in time, I joined the military when I was 17 years old. Just because, again, I did see the path that I was leading, you know what I'm saying, hanging out with like the wrong people and realizing like nobody really gives a crap about Tay. So I was like, my mom was in the military, so let me join the military. I did it for her, really, not myself. But I joined the military. So at 17, I kind of got uprooted and started a whole new life and became an adult immediately. I got moved to Germany, and while I was in Germany, long story short, I had a sergeant come who was not even in my platoon. He tried to tell me something that was wrong, and I told him I wasn't going to do it. We ended up having a scuffle. The MA ended up calling me out, and I'm a hothead, guys. Now I'm still a hothead. You call me out, I feel like I have to defend myself. Again, I was so shy. I remember one time I got punched in my eye and I didn't do anything about it. Ever since that day, I have been a hothead. And if anybody like comes at me any kind of way, like I will provoke a fight quicker than I should. But yeah, I was 17 at the time, like I said, in the military, a young private, a sergeant, not even my platoon, tried to come at me sideways. And this is when we were getting shots. We were having to get the shots because, again, I was in Germany, and in the military, you have to take shots every so often. And this is like one of those sessions where we had to take some shots. And again, I'm 17. A sergeant was trying to tell me to do something that I didn't have to do. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. And he was just very disrespectful to me. And I was like, man, you're not going to be talking to me like that. And pretty much in essence, he called me out and he put his hands on me. And then when I end up trying to fight him, I got too out of hand. And long story short, I ended up getting arrested for the second time. This will be my second time ever getting arrested, and got sent into like military prison. I don't even think my family knows this, but I got sent into like military prison. And that day I made it in my mind. I was like, you know what? This dude put his hands on me first, and I'm the one here sitting in prison just because he is a sergeant. That day I was like really angry. I hated life. I remember just like crying in my cell, like over just like my life. Like, why does everything bad happen to me? And I was really in the right. So ended up getting out of that military. It was like a court martial, and I was just like bucking the system from there on. I told them I would not go back to work. I wouldn't do anything. My barracks was literally downstairs from where I worked. My job was I was 97 Yankee, pretty much a unit supply specialist. I would pretty much give out the supplies to everybody in my barracks, or I would, order supplies or whatever the case may be. Anyways, I just wouldn't go to work. So ended up getting an other than honorable thing out of the military. And like, it just seemed like from there, no matter, I was always in the wrong, even if I felt I was in the right. Again, if I'm in the wrong about something, guys, I will definitely take ownership. I'm that type of human being where I would love to say, if I'm wrong, I will say that I'm wrong. I will take whatever slap you want to give me, and I will move on. But in this particular case, like I said, I was completely right. The sergeant was completely wrong. The military took his back because he was a sergeant. Just because I was 17, they didn't care what I had to say. I felt wronged. I felt like, being a young black man, there's nothing for me in life. Again, depressing issues was really coming into play. Because there was a lot of things going on in my life at the time as well that I just don't even talk about. But, so I kind of like gave up in the military, came home, and then got back into that, the life of, that's when I fell into like smoking weed, and that's when the charge happened of like breaking into cars and all that. So by the time I'm like 19, 20, my mom was pretty much fed up with me because I went to Newport News, and I was living in Virginia at the time, and I really didn't have any place to go. And she was like, well, yeah, you can't come here. So I went to South Carolina, and I've been in South Carolina ever since. And pretty much like running the streets. I felt abandoned, Like my grandmother has always been there for me, but you have rules with your grandma where you have to be home by like 9 o'clock, and my doors will be closed by this time, and you just don't want to be a burden to people. And like I said, I'm not the type of person who like to ask anybody for everything. So if you tell me I have to be home at 10 p.m. and it's 10:01, I'd rather sleep outside than come knock on your door. And I've done that several times. So yeah, it's just like, so anyways, fast forward to like this actual story that I want to get to. This video is way too long, guys, way too long, but there's a lot of stuff I want to get off my chest. But fast forward to, I'm in South Carolina now officially after all that crap that happened. Again, I've always held a job. Came to South Carolina, immediately got a job, and I've held a job ever since. There's not a time people can't say I didn't have a job, unless I quit and got a job the next week or something like that. But even then, I was a fake drug dealer, so it was like I didn't need it. I always had the mindset to hustle. That's what I want to say. So whether it's that have 15 jobs, have 2 jobs. But armed robbery was never like a thing I needed to do. Hustling as in maybe other illegal stuff. Again, selling drugs. Even as an adult, me stealing from stores and stuff. I'm not doing that anymore. Again, I'm an adult. I'm not breaking into cars. I'm not doing dumb stuff. I'm an adult after military life. So this is my life now. I'm just working. Again, the worst that I'm doing at this time in my mid-20s MySpace era is I'm fighting in clubs, and every fight that I've ever been in, and you can fact check this, has not been for me. It's been for every one of my friends. I can remember times in clubs where I have female friends and dudes have been bothering them, and I'm like, hey man, they come to me, oh my God, Tay, this guy's bothering me. Can you please leave her alone? They get an attitude. Now I got to fight you because you want to disrespect my friends because you think I'm an easy win. And that's what it usually is. People think I'm an easy win and they end up getting beat up. That even happened in the prison and when I was locked up a lot. People think I'm an easy win and they end up getting beat up. But anyways, that's a whole nother story. And I don't win every fight, obviously, because I just told you I got punched in my eye and I didn't do nothing about it. But anyways, yeah, I think I was going off track. But yeah, so when I fight, I mean, every time I fight and stuff, it's really not for me. So I'm never really going out of, it's always for my friends. I mean, that's what it feels like. That's what it really, really honestly feels like. That it goes back to me trying to fit in. So again, mid-20s, I'm always working. I hold a job. There's nothing I really need to do. But so life is continuing. I have a girlfriend at the time. So let's get to the story finally. So okay, I have a girlfriend at the time, and for purposes, I'm not going to use anybody's names just cause. So I have a girlfriend at the time. She has a friend. Her friend is dating this guy. I'm going to call this guy Jim. So Jim is dating my girlfriend at the time, her best friend. So they live in a whole nother city. I caught this charge in Charleston, South Carolina. So they live at Charleston, South Carolina at this time. Me and my girl, we're doing okay, whatever, living life. Gets this call. Her best friend was getting abused by this guy, Jim or John or whatever I named this guy. She was getting abused by him physically. One thing about Dante, I don't like when people put their hands on females. Yeah, so we'll just leave that at that. So pretty much my girlfriend, we decided to let Jim's girl come stay with us. And then few weeks passed, and then obviously, like most females do, fact check it if you want to, they got back together. So he was still staying in Charleston, she was staying with us. But they were still talking, and then one weekend he wanted to come up. So when he came up, we all meet for the first time. I don't know this guy from Adam. It's me, him, my one of my other friends at the time, and his girl and my girl. We're all in the apartment. We're all chilling. Sunday. This is on a Sunday. Pretty much we just had a blast this past weekend. He had been here for like 2 or 3 days because I said he's been here for this past weekend. So he had been there for a few days, and he extended the invitation. He was like, hey, guys, if you ever want to come to Charleston, you should do it. So being that this was like around a holiday, it was in October, and now whatever holiday is in October, Labor Day, whatever it is, we were like, yeah, we can do it. Might be Columbus Day. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, I know I was off for that next few days. And my friend at the time, he worked for the state. So he was off. So keep this in mind. My friend, he worked for the state. And I was working, I think I was probably working like Burger King or something like that. But I was a fake drug dealer too at the time too. So it's not like I needed money. So my friend worked for the state though. So does anybody who worked for the state feel like they need to rob somebody? So again, a little bit of background. So this guy, he comes, we all go to Charleston, decide to have a blast, blah, blah, blah. We end up going that day. The very next morning we wake up. I'm not even gonna say his job, but he works very early in the morning where he had to get up like 4 o'clock in the morning. He ended up coming back to his house like around 7 o'clock in the morning, waking us up with a bottle of liquor. Anyways, we get drunk and I get hammered. Not gonna lie, I get hammered. I was a champ back then. I can handle my liquor. So I was the only one really like hammered at this time because, like I said, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. We decided to go riding around downtown, and very quick story. As I remember, we were riding downtown, and when I get out of town in different elements, I'm completely loose. Like the shyness goes away because I'm not in my city. I can make a fool of myself. So we're riding around. I'm hanging out the window, just being dumb. You know what I'm saying? Trying to have a good time. Again, I would love to say I have a good heart. Like I would love to say like my heart is so pure. Even though I make mistakes in my life, my heart is as pure as they come. I try to do my best to be as generous I can to other people, and I just try to treat people with human decency. I really, really try. I fail at times. I get attitudes. Like I said, I'm a hothead. I go through my moods and moments, but I try to treat people good. Anyways, I'm sorry. So fast forward to what had happened was, so we were riding around downtown. I told you I was sloppy drunk, so I wasn't driving. I'm hanging out the window, hollering at everybody I see. I have a girlfriend at the time, but I'm still hanging out the window, hollering at everybody I see. Hey, what's going on, girl? How you doing? Where the party at? Hey, yo, what's up, bro? Where the party at? Literally asking everybody, like, where's the party at for us to have something to do later on that night? Because we wanted to turn up. We ran into these guys, and then they were like, well, what the F are you talking about? And they're blah, 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 blah. And they just start getting really an attitude. And again, I told you earlier, like, I'm a hothead. I tried to like null the situation a little bit, but they wasn't going for it. So I was like, man, who are you talking to? We'll get out the car. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who you're talking about. We'll get out the car right now. So we ended up parking, getting out the car, and walking around the corner. And it was like a movie scene, guys, when I say this dude was like, all right, then what's up? And then he like whistled or something. Maybe he didn't whistle, or he gestured, or he did something crazy when like a bunch of people came out around the corner, and it was like, yeah, we don't want this kind of smoke. Yeah, I'm not dumb. Like I said, I can fight a little bit, but I'm not about to fight 20 on 3. It's just not about to happen, because it was 3 of us, 20 of them. So we're like, oh, okay. So we get back in the car and we're riding. So now, like, I'm drunk. They've been drinking a little bit, and we're just riding around, and heated moment, like we're mad. You know what I'm saying? Oh, so they was gonna jump us and stuff. We're still talking about what's going on. And then the guy that I'm with, Jim, again, so me and my friend went down there with Jim. So Jim is pissed. Like, he's pissed too. And Jim is talking about how he has a gun at the house, and we can go back down here and just have ourselves some protection or whatever the case may be. So we end up leaving Charleston, going back to his house, which was kind of far, and getting the firearm and getting back in the car. And just, again, at that time, like in our minds, I guess it was like for protection, but yeah, we ended up, getting the gun. So we end up riding around, and by this time it's like 2:00 in the afternoon. I haven't had anything else to drink since like 11 o'clock in the morning, because I was already at the verge where I had a lot to drink. So I'm really trying to sober up to kind of keep up with the boys. So as I'm sobering up, it's like 4, 5, 6 o'clock now. I'm literally driving the car. So that lets you know that, well, it might not let you know, but I don't drive if I can't drive. I don't drive drunk, put it that way. So it's like 6, 7 o'clock. Maybe I might have been like buzzing, maybe, but I wasn't drunk like at all. So at this point in time, like, I'm sobering up, and they are like getting drunker as the day goes on. Because that's why I'm driving now, because the guy that we're with, John, he's drunk to the point where, like, yeah, he's definitely not driving. I'm taking over. So anyways, so while John is, I'm driving or whatever, and we're still talking about the events that happened earlier in the day. We're heated. Yeah, man, if we had the gun on us, this is what we would have did. We could have defended ourselves and blah, 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 blah. And that conversation turned into some other crazy conversation, guys. I'm not going to blame myself. I'm not going to blame John. I'm not going to blame my other co-defendant, but we start talking about craziness. Around that time in Charleston, some people had robbed this armored vehicle. So that was like a big topic that was going on, and we got on that topic and started talking about, like, if that was us, what we would do with the money. Like, the money, guys, we were talking about money. And then push comes to shove, John was really serious about, well, we could rob somebody right now. And we were like, yeah, we can. Yeah, we should. But keep in mind, like, it was just, in my mind, it's just like we're talking. I don't know, again, I'm going to say this, but people are like, I've never had a conversation like this. A lot of people have like make-believe conversations a lot. To me, that's what it was. Again, it comes to the place like, we're out of town. I don't have my car. We're in John's car at this moment. So it's not like I have a getaway per se. I didn't even have a car at the time, I don't think. So I didn't drive my car, period. I'm just riding. I'm just riding. If that's the best way to say it. Although I'm driving, I'm riding because it's not my car. So anyways, that day we ended up, conversation got a little bit heated, start robbing people, blah, blah, blah. So we were supposed to hype ourselves up to rob somebody. Push comes to shove. We ended up walking around downtown for like hours at this point now. Like I said, it was like around 6 o'clock when we were having this conversation. It's like around 11 o'clock, 9 o'clock now. And to make this I wish I could like take screenshots of my old conversations, but I remember texting my girlfriend at the time. Me and I was about to say his name, but me and my friend, not John, but me and the guy who I came to down to Charleston with, we were talking, man. We were like, man, this guy's crazy, man. Yeah, we're going home. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna go back to Charleston, or we're gonna go back to because we were on Charleston. He lived on like Mount Pleasant, which is like an island right next to Charleston. But anyways, we were like, we're gonna just go back to Mount Pleasant and get in my homeboy's car and go back to Greenville. Like that was the plan. We were gonna go back to his apartment, get in our car, and just go back home. So I texted my girl at the time. I was like, hey babe, when you see me in the morning, I said, when you wake up, you will see me in the morning. Because this guy's crazy. He's talking crazy. And that was my last text message that I ever sent. About 20 minutes later than that, I'm literally driving his car. And I'm like, hey, man, so how do we get back to your house? He's still talking. He's still like on the robbery tip, if that makes sense, kind of, sort of. But it's crazy. Keep in mind, I don't know how, but I think I done took the gun at this point in time. I have the gun on me. Trust me, the gun, that's where it was safest at that point in time. But yeah, I had the gun on me. So like I'm driving. Again, we're having conversations about doing crazy stuff, but we're good because I got the gun on me. You know what I'm saying? I know my homeboy, we really ain't gonna do nothing crazy. We're just kind of like entertaining this guy that we're with. So we're riding around downtown, lost. I'm asking this guy how to get back to his house. Literally won't tell me how to get back to his house. I didn't know where I was, but there was an area that looked like it was the way that we came, but it was like we came through the hood, but he didn't want to go back through the hood to get out, if that made any sense. So we were riding around for like 20 or 30 minutes just being stupid. So I had made my decision that we were just going to stop and ask for directions. So John was like, yeah, well, we can rob whoever we ask and stop. And I had, again, keep in mind, I had the gun. So I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. So we stopped. I literally stopped and I asked this dude, I was like, hey man, how do we get back to the highway? This man asked me he gave me directions and left. Like he gave me directions, was walking around the car. I had the gun on me. And when I took the gun, because the gun was like in my lap area. So I don't know how to explain this. You know how when you're like ready to get comfortable to get on your ride or anything, it's time to like get organized and get situated. So I took the gun, you know what I'm saying? And I put the gun in the thing beside me, the headrest. And John ended up just snatching the gun and getting out the car and robbing the guy. So yeah, that's pretty much our life story. And then when he jumped out the car, my homeboy in the back seat, I literally turned around and told him, I said, hey man, get out the car and make sure he doesn't do anything crazy. So he gets out the car and they get out the car, whatever. And then they get back in the car and John's so happy. And my other friend, he's just like, man, yeah, we need to go. It's time to go. So, that was like our armed robbery charge in essence. In a nutshell, ended up pulling up to a stop sign and yeah, things just got out of hand from there. Obviously I'm more of a thinker. So, let's just say when they did get in the car and I started asking questions like, yo, what was going on? Yeah, guys. So again, I'm not completely innocent, you know, cause I was part of those conversations. I do feel bad for like my other cohort because again, he's definitely not a armed robber either. And he got the same armed robbery charge. And I feel like he got it because I told him to get out the car to make sure the other dude wasn't going to kill the guy. Like, I think that's where my concern was that night, like safety. Again, it's crazy, man. Like that's my charge. I mean, in essence, that's the charge that we had. And I feel horrible, you know what I'm saying, about the circumstances. Cause I know like if me and my homeboy was in Greenville just chilling, like that would have never happened. Again, I'm not sitting here saying I'm completely innocent because I took a part of those conversations. And when you take part of conversations with somebody you really don't know and they really about that life, like, you know, and you put yourself in that situation, you have to take some of the blame. But yeah, we ended up getting pulled over right before we even got to the bridge. And we went to jail right then and there. And I never saw daylight for like 3 or 4 more months. And then John was telling the people that it was all my idea. It was hard for me to even bond out of jail because John was telling everybody that was my idea. I was the mastermind and everything like that. So you know, that's pretty much how our incident happened, and we went to jail. Like, all of us went to jail that night. Me and my other homeboy thought we were just gonna bond out that night for some reason, and that didn't happen. Everybody ended up bonding out on their own separate ways, and I haven't talked to John since. When I was actually sentenced to 10 years in prison, I ran into him, but I didn't even know who he was. That's how much I knew this guy. Like, one day I was locked up, and I'm about to end this video very soon because it's very long. But I ended up running into John. I was handing out napkins in prison because that's like one of my jobs. I was working in the kitchen, and this guy comes up to me and he takes a napkin. And when I give him the napkin, I just look at him and stare at him. And he's like, "What's going on?" Like, he knows me immediately, but I'm looking at him like, "You look so familiar." So then it dawned on me, like, this is John. That's how much I knew this guy, guys. Like, I spent enough time with him I saw him again in passing and really wasn't sure if that was him or not. I mean, he did look kind of different and everything, but it was definitely him because he got moved to another yard after that. But yeah, man. I always thought if I ever ran into him, like, bad things would happen, but I was responsible too. But more importantly, my father is responsible. And a lot of you are going to be like, "Oh my God, he said his father is responsible." If you are a father and you're not dealing with your kids, man, you have no idea how that's affecting your kids' lives. Especially if you are a father out there and you know where your child is at. Like, you never know the positions that your child can be put in, the advice that you could have helped them with, or the path that you could have helped your child go down. I don't know if this video is going to make sense. It is so freaking long. I had to hold back like so many emotions. Again, I know I wasn't completely 100% innocent in this armed robbery, but the fact that the state gave me an armed robbery charge instead of like an accessory after the fact or before the fact or any other charge that I could have got. There's people who've done worse than me and came home before me. I've never been good enough. So I think when I look back like on my time in prison and how my life ended up and where I'm at today, and everything happens for a reason. I hope this video made sense. I hope y'all got some clarity behind whatever you wanted to know. I hope my character comes across in this video. Like, again, I know I'm not the best human being in the world, but I promise you I try to be. I fail often. I have issues that I deal with. I feel like so many bad things happen to me that outside of my control. But I keep pushing forward. I keep grinding. I keep trying to combat the negative thoughts. I keep trying to. I don't know, I'm all over the place, man. I'm sorry, but yeah, I don't even know if you should like this video. So I'm just gonna say Tay's out. Yeah.